Good day, colleagues, especially members of the media, Comrade President, Comrade DP, Comrade TG, Comrade DSG, Honorable Dudu, and Honorable Tlamulo. We are, as Umkhonto weSizwe, all of us are greeting the collective that is amongst us here and gathered, that is here to eagerly awaiting in terms of what the President of Umkhonto weSizwe, uComrade Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, is sharing with the collective and to an extent with the nation at large. Because we believe that the collective that is here is representative of each and everyone within our communities. Allow me then to take you through to what the President would like to share with the nation through the collective that is here. So this is a statement by President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma on the establishment of Umkhonto weSizwe party structures and their immediate task and functions. We welcome all members of the media and send our greetings to all the people of South Africa, the African continent, and the world. We as Umkhonto weSizwe Party would like to send our most sincere gratitude and thankfulness once again to the people of South Africa for the support given to our party in the 2024 general elections. We currently stand as the official opposition in Parliament, and we are pleased to announce that we are represented by 121 members of Parliament and members of provincial legislatures in 7 of the 9 provinces of South Africa. We are the largest political party in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and by far, second largest in Mpumalanga, and represented in different other legislatures. We are a serious role player in the politics of South Africa and will continue to grow as a true liberation movement that is fighting for total freedom from our oppressors and from colonialism. We still stand by our objections to the 2024 election results, and our lawyers are finalizing a very comprehensive submission which will illustrate that there was indeed rigging of votes. We will not retreat from this case until every electoral fraud is exposed. Our objection to the election results does and will not mean that we must not represent our people in legislatures and parliament. We are in the process of assembling the best and skilled public representatives in South Africa and send them to parliament and legislatures to represent our people. By all measures and standards, the people we are deploying to parliament will be the most skilled, most accomplished, and most experienced collective with resounding and verifiable track record in government and other sectors of society. The MKP will choose and deploy the best of the best into parliament, legislatures, and councils, and except in exceptional few cases, those deployed in parliament will not be leaders of the MKP party. We are separating functions of those who lead the party and those who go to parliament and legislatures. And we are the MKP will choose and deploy the best of the best into parliament, legislatures and council, and in exceptional few cases, those deployed in parliament will not be leaders of the MK party. I felt that let me again be able to express that and underline in terms of that. That's why I'm repeating it. We are separating functions of those who lead the party and those who go to parliament and legislatures. The MKP will provide political and ideological direction to those who are deployed to parliament and government, and not the other way round, where those deployed in government give direction to the party. So the party is the one that will take in terms of ensuring that the deployees to parliament represent the party and are for the party. We have now come to the era of fully establishing ourselves as an organization which will be responsible for all work in all communities and in the different legislatures where we have representatives. When we announced our existence as political party on the 16th of December 2023, we did not have an opportunity to fully establish ourselves as an organization that is represented in all the corners of South Africa. We are doing so now, based on the principle that we'll avoid combining and mixing parliament and legislature deployment with the leadership of the MK party, except in instances of officials and in other areas where we will decide deployees to parliament and government are not going to occupy leadership responsibilities in the party. The time has now arrived that we should establish ourselves as a full organization with structures and members in all the voting districts, the wards, sub-regions, regions, and provinces. We are today announcing a leadership collective that will be tasked with the full establishment of MKP as a liberation movement that will be represented in all corners of South Africa and should start preparations for the 2026 and 2029 elections. The MKP is the only liberation movement in South Africa because those historically tasked with the liberation of our people have abandoned the cause. We are fighting on and will never surrender and will not retreat. We are fighting on and will never surrender and will not retreat. I repeat. The Umkhonto weSizwe Party will be led by the National High Command, which will be comprised of commanders of different skill sets and experiences. The High Command of the MKP will be the highest decision-making body, comprised of 8 officials and additional members not exceeding 45. The 8 officials will be the President, the Deputy President, the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, Treasurer General, National Chairperson, Deputy National Chairperson, and the National Organizer. Today, we are announcing the composition of the High Command officials and some of the additional members. We will, over the next few weeks, announce the complete composition of the High Command because some of the people must finish their assignments and work in areas where they are currently. The complete composition of the High Command will be gender balanced and will have all demographics of South Africa sufficiently covered. At this stage, I would like to give, in terms of what the functions as per officials that are leading the MKP party. The president of the MKP is the commander of the organization and will give political and ideological leadership and guidance to the whole organization. The president is also for the commissariat and international relations. The deputy president. The deputy president will be head of parliamentary caucus, legal affairs, and responsible for the national disciplinary matters. The treasurer general. The treasurer general is responsible for fundraising, budgeting, audit and accounting compliance, merchandising, and all assets of the organization. The Secretary General is the Chief Executive Officer of the organization and is the custodian of the following functions: membership and related systems, deployment, monitoring and evaluation of governance, particularly MKP caucuses and public representatives, this working with the national organizer. Communications and security. The Secretary General, in concurrence with the national organizer, is responsible for the establishment of MKP structures and the leagues. Deputy Secretary General assists the Secretary General and is also responsible for the human capital and of the organization and all contractual obligations. National organizer, responsible for organizing, development of MKP organizational documents and guidelines, political education, policy and research, monitoring and evaluation of governance, particularly MKP caucuses and public representatives, working with the Secretary Generals of cadre deployment. The national organizer is also responsible for the representation of MKP in the IEC structures. The national organizer, in concurrence with the Secretary General, is responsible for the establishment of MKP structures and the leagues. The national chairperson. National chairperson will preside over all high command meetings and national gatherings of the MKP. The chairperson is also responsible for stakeholder relations, particularly traditional leaders and religious sector. Deputy national chairperson will deputize the national chairperson and will be responsible for looking after the welfare of military veterans. The National High Command will immediately reconfigure the provincial detachments, regional detachments, and the leadership composition of the Women League, Youth League, and Students' Movement. The prerogative to appoint the leadership structures remains that of the President through the Secretary General's office. The National High Command will also establish the necessary support structures and committees, including a Finance Committee, Communications Committee, Economic Transformation Committee, Safety and Security Committee, Social Transformation Committee, and other ad hoc committees for specific functions. The High Command will also convene a national policy conference to discuss and adopt the finalized policies on all areas affecting our communities and society. Underneath the High Command, the MKP will be led by provincial detachments composed of provincial commander, coordinator, organizer, and fundraiser, and 2 people representing each region in the province, and 2 representatives of each league of the MKP. Underneath the provinces will be regional detachments composed of regional coordinator, convener, organizer, and fundraiser, and 2 representing each sub-region or zone in the said region, and the representatives of the leagues. Underneath the regional detachments will be sub-regional detachments, which will be organized alongside local municipalities and zones in the case of metropolitan municipalities. The sub-regional detachments will be led by sub-regional conveners and coordinators. The immediate task of all these structures is to put in place sub-regional and zonal structures, which will in turn launch VD-based structures as the most basic unit of the MKP. The roles of all MKP structures, members, and activists will be to take up community issues and prepare for the upcoming elections, which the MKP will win decisively. The structures we are establishing are not established for elective conferences, because we will not convene any elective conference until we have maximum stability and presence in all corners of South Africa. The MKP is at its establishment process and will not convene elective conferences because we know what such can do to undermine our unity and progress as an organization. We commit that the leadership collective we are announcing today is the leadership of MKP, and there will not be constant changes because we took our time to consult and finalize the collective. We have full confidence in the names of all the people we have identified, including those who are still going to join our liberation movement. We will, however, not tolerate laziness and divisive leaders whose only and primary purpose is to sow divisions in our ranks. We will, however, not tolerate laziness and divisive leaders whose only and primary purpose is to sow division in our ranks. I repeat. We, as the MKP, call for the unity and unification of all progressive political parties to fight against white minority rule in South Africa. Again, let me repeat. We, as the MKP, call for the unity and unification of all progressive political parties to fight against white minority rule in South Africa. We have an obligation as progressive forces to rise above our differences and build a solid and sound organization that will represent our people genuinely. There is unnecessarily a high number of political parties in South Africa, and such undermines the unity of the oppressed who have still not won the struggle against colonialism. Those who defeated us and continue to oppress us are united. But we, the oppressed, are divided into many small parties. We, as the MKP, will strive for the ultimate unity of political parties that represent our people. We remain opposed to the so-called government of national unity because it is not a government of national unity, but a coalition between the ANC of Ramaphosa and the Democratic Alliance. We will, as the MKP, be the voice of the voiceless and will represent ordinary people on the ground. We will, as the MKP, be the voice of the voiceless and will represent ordinary people on the ground. We will fight for real economic transformation and redress of the imbalances of the past. We will uproot all the consequences of apartheid and colonialism. We remain opposed to the ANC of Ramaphosa because it has been sold to the control by the representatives of our oppressors. When Umkhonto weSizwe was launched in 1961, it was a statement of defiance and refusal to surrender after the real ANC was banned in 1960. Umkhonto weSizwe represent a complete refusal to be silenced. Umkhonto weSizwe represent a complete refusal to be silenced. It is an instrument for total liberation and freedom. And many people here in South Africa are beginning to notice that a captured ANC is no longer and will never be an instrument of liberation. We therefore call on all courageous leaders who are refusing to be silenced and those who are refusing to surrender to come join Umkhonto weSizwe Party in this critical and important phase of its growth and development. We are preparing ourselves for the future, and we have no doubt that we shall overcome. We are preparing ourselves for the future, and we have no doubt that we shall overcome. We are going to fight for the interests and aspirations of ordinary people on the ground. And we are going to sharply increase the quality of policy alternatives, which will be based on sound and clear principles. We will work with churches and all religious institutions. We will continue to interact with traditional and royal leaders and will also respect the rights of traditional healers. We will continue to interact with traditional and royal leaders and will also respect the rights of traditional leaders. The MKP remains committed to the Progressive Caucus in the National Parliament and all provincial legislatures. We'll never engage in any activity or program that seeks to undermine the unity of progressive forces. We have to demonstrate maximum unity against the so-called GNU and mobilize our people to reject the alliance of the right-wing political formations. The National High Command will continue its engagements with different unions and civil society formations, including those that are in alliance with other political parties. The MKP will strive for unity and unification of unions in different sectors and will strive to achieve such. This does not mean that unions and workers must allow to be abused by political parties for narrow electoral politics. At this stage, please allow me to announce the leadership collective of the High Command as follows. And I'll also request when the name is called, if you are not in the front, to come and join us in the collective in front. I see some interest. Comrade President, allow me to continue. Thank you. President remains Jacob Gedlehlekisa Mhlanganyelwa Zuma. Deputy President remains Comrade Dr. John Hlophe. The Secretary General happens to be the fellow who is reading the President's statement, Dr. Sfiso Masego. The Deputy Secretary General happens to be the beautiful lady that is sitting next to the President, Comrade Nombuso Mkhize. I'm sure all of you can guess who is the national organizer. The national organizer is one and only Floyd Shivambu. Floyd, is there something wrong with my hand? Already factionalism. Welcome, Comrade Floyd. The national chairperson is none other. Cishe ngasho elinye igama la alisho ayekhuluma ngenye into le bathi ginqa something. Nkosinathi Nhleko, the national chairperson, Comrade Nathi, the front is calling you, it's not me. Yeah. Ngicela uqale ku President ungamfakela umkhuhlane. Please, can you face? Yeah, can you face? If it's the only way to make you to look at them. Okay. Yeah. as we move along, the Deputy National Chairperson is none other than Comrade Wilson Sibilwane. Our usozimali wethu, our Treasurer General is Menzi Makubane, as was introduced earlier. That completes on the top 8, but as the President has said in the speech that I've read, there are other members that we've gone wide and far throughout the province of South Africa to canvass and get them to be part of the National High Command. Yeah, I'll just call the names, and because of space in between, and then I think they'll remain where they are. Gobizizwe Makanya, Dr. Chitsumba, Sibusiso Xulu, apologies, comrades, we're a disciplined party and we're being led. The President has issued a directive that the comrade must come and stand at the back. Thank you, Comrade President. Gobizizwe Makanya, sondela mfowethu. Dr. Chitsumba, he has indicated that he has a Comrade President, that he has a Senate meeting. He will join us later. Kapashe, Sibusiso Xulu. Major General Sindiswa Mthembu, Themba Abraham Munyela, Mandla Situ, he had also indicated, Comrade President, that he might be late on Mondays this morning. Tutuzile Kate Mabizela. Thanks. Brigadier General Daisy Chilwane. Julius Msingwane. Kalagu President. It's just a conversation. Comrade Kuvile Nomachule. Kalagu President. Lungelo Madlingozi. Okay, thank you. Nweti Pila. Endo. Uzothola iletha eDC. Kalagu President. Neville Mutlabankwe. Papitau. Richard Sileke. Not. Nangu Brigadier Chilwane.
My brothers,
Dynam Tau. Tumiso Matlala.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fanuel Manana. Nomusa Cecilia Mponchane. Nolthando Shozi.
Yeah, let me.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much. As we had said, we're still going to announce in terms of other comrades, because of notice that the other comrades that had put in terms of that they will be late. But when, in terms of the statement that will be given, at least we'll be able to share in terms of the whole list of the comrades that are part of the National High Command. These are the commanders who constitute the National High Command of the MKP and the highest decision-making body. These leaders come from all provinces of South Africa and represent different skill sets, experience, expertise, generational mix, and capacity. We have full confidence in all of the leaders we have announced, and we will make further announcements on those who will join the collective. We command all lower structures and public representatives of the MKP to subject themselves to this leadership collective and be guided by maximum discipline. We will not tolerate and will not accommodate anyone who will seek to undermine the leadership collective. We will not tolerate and will not accommodate anyone who will seek to undermine the leadership collective. All communications to the organization will happen through the Office of the Secretary General and all designated leaders in different levels. Let me repeat again in full. All communications to the organization will happen through the Office of the Secretary General and all designated leaders in different levels. In South Africa, in all provinces, regions, sub-regions, wards, and voting districts. South Africa must then expect structures of the MKP in all provinces, regions, sub-regions, wards, and voting districts. I thank you.
Thank you, SG. We will now request colleagues from the media to ask questions to the collective leadership. No, wait. SG, I want to know if they're going to stand here the whole time or not.
Yeah, they can stand here.
Wait. Moyo, you're not running this. Who is the media? Can those who be moving the mics? Okay. Now, SG, do you expect the collective leadership to stand here till we're done? If not, the media will want to take a photo before they sit down. And then maybe let's do that so that they can sit down and to stand at a time. Yes. For now, just let's direct it in a much better coordinated way. Yeah, the leadership at the front, you can continue to sit. I think it's easier. And then let's allow just 1 or 2 minutes for the photo opportunity for the collective leadership. It's called a national command. Or it's a high command, yeah, national high command. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, leadership. You can go back to your seats if the media is done. I'm sure they're done now. No? Okay. Yeah. Commander Donda, you can smile a bit. The media colleagues are complaining that your complexion makes it difficult to capture you. Thank you, commanders. No, thank you. I think we should be good now. Thank you, leadership. We'll allow you to take your seats. Thank you, colleagues. Because all of us will be introducing ourselves before we speak, maybe I must do it now. My name is Makasela Mzobe, the head of the presidency in NgoLwesibini party. Don't mistake me for a spokesperson. I take no interviews. I'm just asked to facilitate this as the head of the presidency until the leadership has captured in the statement, designate people that will speak to you both after and in the future. Can we take hands? I'll just point at you So that I don't offend people, even those that I know, I will not mention your name. I'll just say you in the whatever. We'll start here. Yes, here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll come back. We just want to finish this side quickly. Yeah. You know the standard procedures. It's your name and the name of the media you're coming from. Thank you.
Molweni lonke, gama lam nguMziki Mazwai. I'm from the Moya podcast. I'm a big fan of MK, but there are two things that are glaring for me. I see that MK has managed to capture the firebrands in men and the strong leaders and the ones we've seen grow along the years. But I don't see the strong women, the vocal women that we're used to seeing in the country. A lot of them should be here, and for me that's a red flag. And then the second red flag for me is, how is MK going to control the narrative of the MK being a family stokvel? I don't want to offend anybody, but that is the narrative that's out there. So how do you intend to not make it a personality count? Because as we can see with the EFF, it's a detrimental position to be, to base the ideals of a whole organization on one person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In that sequence.
Sanibonani nonke. Igama nguBalungile Ngwabamkhize, ngiphuma eMaru Sport Power podcast. Siyabamukela Floyd. Umbuzo wami my question is one. Umsebenzi wenu uyabonakala eThekwini in terms of removing foreign nationals to employment South Africans. That's currently happening at Tegwini. How far are you taking this? Nizothi masinba removile, then what's the process afterwards? Ngiyabonga.
Yes.
Dumela? No, I could hear everybody's greeting with their vernacular. Dumela? Vikanyo MDN TV. My question is based on what criteria did MKP uses to select the leaders that you have just announced? And another question goes to, I don't want to say Floyd, but it's directly to Floyd and the leadership of MKP. Is it another way of dismantling EFF when you make Floyd the national chairperson? Thank you.
Wait.
National organizer.
Yeah. I thought you got it from a source and they were colleagues, please.
Good day. Hi, everybody. My name is Natasha Piri from SABC News. In terms of the recent announcement of the High Command, Mr. Maseko did mention that it must be gender balanced, but unfortunately I didn't see any young people. I might be wrong, but will there be youth representation in the High Command? Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Maseko, but you also said that the officials, the top 8 officials won't be deployed to Parliament except in exceptional circumstances. So Mr. Floyd Shivambu be deployed to Parliament. Furthermore, in terms of those 18 parliamentarians that were expelled from Parliament, they claim that they weren't told about the expulsion, and furthermore, they say that the expulsion was actually orchestrated to make way for the new MPs. How true is that? And then just my last question for former President Jacob Zuma. Mr. Jabulani Khumalo has now opened a fraud case against you, alleging that you unlawfully removed him as a director of the NPO. Just your reaction on that. Thank you.
The fifth one.
Good afternoon. My name is Sisanda Mbolekwa from the Sunday Times. My question is, when the Leadership Collective was announced, there was a mention that wide consultations were done. Now, in the absence of elected structures, who exactly was consulted? And secondly, this one is for Mr. Shivambu. The last time we met, you announced your exit at the EFF headquarters. where you kindly asked us not to ask you about what led to this decision. Now that we are here at your new political home, please expand on what please explain to us what exactly attracted you to the MK party and how that process, what happened for you to find yourself here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they say you can run, but you can't hide. I'll leave SJ, you lead us, and then amongst yourself, as a collective, we'll decide who will respond in which question. And we'll request that the entire leadership comes here so they don't move the mics. It's a bit of a logistical nightmare. So anyone who's going to answer from leadership will come here. And in some of the questions, I bit specific who they want to answer. But the leadership will decide if they follow that line of questioning. Leadership? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh. No, the legal guru is taking charge.
You must go. No, you cannot go.
Yes, you can go.
Thank you very much. I was requesting DSG to take the questions from Ziki because they were very appropriate in terms of even her. She's a very strong man. If we were to get in terms of the CV and the character, you will see that we've honestly recruited the best amongst the best, as the president has said. But also the leadership collective that was announced in terms of, I'll also just combine it with who was consulted and what skills. The leadership collective that you also saw here, that you'll also see. You can vet it, you can go and check, you'll see that it's vast and with impeccable records in terms of that. So it's I would say I will differ in terms of how we will approach in terms of the leadership women that we have. And as for the family Stockfell, it's just unfortunate that that question came in the sense that I am not a Zuma. Floyd is not a Zuma. And Nombuso is not in terms of that. Our attraction, all of us, to MKP is in terms of the ideology that we all hold. So the party is centered around the philosophy and ideology. The philosophy is the Pan-Africanism. The ideology is in terms of a true liberation movement that we have. That's what our party is centered on. It's not centered in terms of it. The president happens to also embodies in terms of that philosophy and ideology. And we are not ashamed to say we suck from his knowledge in terms of that understanding. And the party will remain the true reparation movement because of that ideology that one has. What we're announcing today was also at the macro level, how we are going to show and strengthen so that we are able to achieve that. So I thought maybe let me just expand and deal with it. How did we able to get in terms of that? We consulted our members. We consulted our structures. We do have interim structures. As much as we are reconfiguring, we are improving in terms of governance, we had to consult. In Orlando, we launched our People's Mandate. That People's Mandate, I'm sure all of us have seen it. Some of the comrades that you saw here were instrumental in the People's Mandate. So that talks to the skills that the party was actually announcing, that the president was unfolding and giving to the nation. So if you look at that people's mandate, not even a cent was spent for it. No consultants. It was all professionals that love the MKP, that align with the ideology of MKP. So I think that also assists in terms of just having a sense how wide we were able to consult. They also come from all provinces. All provinces are represented in the structure as a way of inclusiveness, but as a way of ensuring that we grow. I think there were questions that were specific to Comrade Floyd, which I'm sure he'll be happy to answer to it. Then there is a question in terms of gender balance. I think that I've addressed it. The youth, you are correct. The party is, in terms of, it's got two youth structures: MK Student Movement and the MK Youth League. And in the statement that the President at least had for the press briefing, it is clear that we are also going to strengthen in terms of those structures and allow them to be autonomous so that they are also able to have programs that are aligned within the mother body. But they'll also become, the leadership there becomes ex-official members of the National High Command. As I was reading the President's statement, it is there, it's captured. So I think that also addresses it. Let me also give it to Comrade Floyd so that he just deals with the specific questions.
No, thank you very much, Secretary General, and greetings to the President of NgoLwesi's party, President Zuma, and Deputy President Dr. Rhoqo, the Secretary General, Dr. Maseko, the Treasurer General, Commander Menzi, the National Chair, Konsinati Ntleko, and the Deputy National Chair is Commander Bilwan. And the DSG is Commander Nomuzi. We are here in the press conference of NgoLwesi's party to announce the structures of NgoLwesi's party. That is the primary purpose, a party which we voluntarily have joined, and for correct reasons. When we were speaking in the other platform, we made a plea for avoiding of mischaracterization of an otherwise correct and revolutionary decision and act to join NgoLwesi's party. What President Zuma is doing with NgoLwesi's party is what the statement of NgoLwesi did in 1961 on the 16th of December, to say that now that the liberation movement has been banned, what other platform do we express ourselves? What other instrument do we use to fight for total liberation? There is absolutely no doubt that the liberation movement is no longer existing in the form that it's supposed to do. It has been captured totally. It is directed from elsewhere. And then this is a platform. And what is unique about NgoLwesi's party is a purposeful, foundational approach and principle, is to assemble people who can govern society to come and govern society in South Africa. It's not wishful thinking to say that we've got these ideas of what we're going to do. Is to assemble the best of the best. So if you were to check even with the people that have been identified now, the first consignment that is going to the National Assembly, if you go to check their track record objectively and not bled by these nonsense of right-wing media platforms, you will accept that the contributions that Brian Molefe did in the public investment corporations, in Transnet, in ESCOM, you will appreciate the contributions that Esiyabonga Gama did and contributed in Transnet, stable organizations. Whatever can be said, even with the former SARS commissioner, there have been a lot of things which were misled about for a very long time, that everyone else who is not a puppet of the establishment is enemy of the people. That is not the case. And people will think that I'm saying this because I'm on this platform now only. You can check the public statements and writings and articles and even interviews that we did when we came to the realization that for a very long time we misled in terms of our characterization of society. They said there's capture because they were no longer in control of key state institutions. The white capitalist establishment was no longer in control, and then they said there's a crisis. If there was truly a crisis, why is that crisis not there now? Like, can they show us the crisis which they said existed before? So to assemble the best of the best amongst black people to govern society is a best decision. And to associate with that is a best and sound decision. People who can govern, like it's as simple as that. Like, if you say that who amongst ourselves is the best, and then you say, let's assemble those who can demonstrate that they have got capacity to run otherwise very complex and huge institutions, who are not going to collaborate with the establishment and switch on electricity on and off and say it's load shedding because there's a crisis of this and that. People who are genuine and real and have never done anything wrong, and of course will be criminalized for one reason or another. I agree that we should unite all the progressive forces into common agenda, because this thing of small unviable political parties is not sustainable for the future of black people in South Africa. It's not sustainable at all. We can't, and the temptation as well, and I'm not characterizing the EFF, is that when you have got multiple of these, like they end up being fiefdoms of individuals. IFP, UDM kind of arrangement, what is it to achieve with that? When all of us can set aside our very strong egos and say, I don't have to be a member of parliament, I don't have to be a deputy president. I can come and be led by a collective, like, and be subjected to a collective and be asked to go and organize branches of MKP from scratch and not be a member at a high level. That is the principle that we're dealing with. And that is what we are here for, in terms of, and so that there's not even confusion. By the way, we spoke about the unification of all progressive parties with President Zuma last year, October, before the official announcement of Mkondo's as a party. And I was amongst those that said that let us go and contest elections as separate political parties. We'll contest each other on the ground, but we'll come back to talk about what do we do moving forward. So the attempt for unification is not just an opportunistic one because there were electoral declines of the EFF and all of those things. It's a genuine political discussion, which all South Africans must enter into, those who are in favor of the revolution. Because revolution is the content of what we're standing for. It's not just, no, if it's me, you are betraying me. You know, some people will say, you are betraying me. Where does that enter? And you don't even once suggest that I'm betraying the revolution. I will never betray the revolution. Because we're not in the business of trying to please each other's egos here. We're in the business of building a revolutionary movement that is going to emancipate the black majority and Africans in particular, and we are unapologetic about that. That is what we stand for. And President Zuma, when he was inducting all of us yesterday, he says that we might be friends, we might think we are friends, but friendship won't apply here. If you do not do these things right, you're going to be taken care of appropriately. Some people were asking me that what is going to happen because in MKP leadership changes every week and all of those things. What if they change? I say, like, if I'm removed as national organizer, I'm going to be a member. And if I'm removed as a member, I'm going to be a volunteer and put posters even without the approval of the leadership. I'm not here for opportunistic purposes. And that is what we are all about. I think all of us, all the progressive forces, let's unite and build this movement. There is no dictatorship, there is political discussions. In all the times that we have got to interact with President Zuma, he has the patience to have political and ideological discussions to persuade people about how to move forward. He does not stand to subjectively gain anything out of that. It's not like he's subjectively going to gain anything out of it. He has said that let's unite all the progressive forces so that we can build a solid movement that will take us forward. Otherwise, the other things that are said are not worth responding to. We're going to go to the ground. Let's coexist, all of us, and then let's persuade each other. Let's build the MKP as a party which is going to take over government of South Africa. Thank you very much.
Be pure, young man. Be pure.
Amanda! Right, good morning. I just want to deal with three questions. The first question was simply this. Did we deploy Comrade Floyd as a national organizer because we want to destroy the EFF? I'm paraphrasing it. Far from it. Far from it. Comrade Floyd has been, all our comrades are deployed to various structures on merit. There is nobody who's being destroyed because, there is no one who's being deployed because we want to destroy the EFF as a party. We are running our own political programs as the Umkhonto weSizwe party, regardless of the EFF's position on any issue. So he is a very experienced politician. He's sharp like a razor. I said that last night, and I repeat it. He is sharp like a razor, and he would no doubt play a very important role as far as the MK party is concerned going forward. I've dealt with that. The second question relates to comrades of the MK party who were expelled and who are now taking legal action against the MK party. That matter is sub judice. As a matter of law, we do not comment on cases that are pending before court. All I can tell you is this. They have every right, just like any one of you here has any right to take anyone to court. You can make all kinds of allegations. At the end of the day, it is a judge sitting alone in his or her chambers who will decide the case on the 3rd of September. We are glad that the hearing date has been expedited and the matter will be finalized very soon. The other question related to a case, I think it's a case that has been opened against the president by Mr. Jabulani Khumalo, and I think there are allegations of fraud that have been leveled. Mr. Khumalo, similarly, like any human being walking the surface of this earth, has a right to open a case against anyone that he chooses to open a case against. It is unwise to comment on the allegations that have been made by Mr. Khumalo in his court papers, which allegations have been leveled against the president of NgoLwesibini party. We do not, as a rule, comment on matters that are pending before court. It is completely unwise, and we do not do that as a matter of policy and as a rule. Thank you very much.
Thank you, leadership. Floyd was asked a question. He delivered an organizing speech. I'm telling that the last time you were speaking, you were resigning. Today we are welcoming forces into. Let's come this side, colleague. We'll take you 1, yes, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, outcome. It will be 1, 2, the same. You introduce yourself, the media in which you come from, and the leadership will decide who answers which question.
Thank you. Abdullah Mtila from ENCA. President Zuma, just on the developments within the ANC, you were expelled by the political party and given 21 days to appeal, which you didn't do. You spent at least 6 decades in the ANC. We haven't gotten your comment in terms of you leaving the political party, the one that you said you'd die in, just around the recent developments there. Secondly, there was also mention of MPs that would not be MK party members but would be deployed in Parliament. Can we just get further clarity who these MPs are and why the reasoning behind them, deploying them without being MK party members? And thirdly, I understand there was a suggestion that there won't be any elections anytime soon for leadership positions, but could we get maybe an understanding of the tenure of the leadership now? Is it indefinite? Is it till maybe the 2026 local government elections? Yeah, just clarity on that. Thank you.
Okay, scripture.
Thank you very much. My name is Zianda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa. This morning, a briefing was held by those expelled members, and in essence, they've mentioned the names of Duduzile Zuma, Sihle Ngubane, and Ndlamulo Ndlela as being gatekeepers, Mr. President, for getting access to you to raise concerns. Are you aware of this, Mr. Zuma? How do people get access to you, if at all, when they want to raise concerns within the structures of the Wesizwe party? And these expelled members are also saying that they were never engaged about being placeholders in Parliament. I know that's not necessarily the nub of what they're saying in the court paper, so I think maybe we can get some clarity on who exactly is telling the truth, because even your spokesperson, Ndlamulo Ndlela, has engaged on this. Thank you.
Sibonga kakhulu ngiyabingelela babunqanana nabahola phambili umshengo okhulumayo ngokwamatonza ebambe lapha Sunday World. Ncamalala mhlawumbe asiqale kulolu daba lwe-unity among what you call progressive forces. Umbuzo wami ukuthi ingabe wena at your level njengamanje kuloko kwenzekile kukaBaba Shivambu ezangala okudala inkulumeni nanokuthi njengoba dadwethu seshilo lapho ukuthi ufuna ukudala uqhekeko ngale uyefe ufuna ukuqeda nya ke-EFF, ingabe wena kule level okuyona usuthathile ithuba lokuthi uxhumane nomholi we-EFF Baba Julius Malema ashore ukuthi there's no such, if there is it, by the way, if there's no attempt to destroy the EFF and that you are building this unity, and also how do you build this unity among what you call the progressive forces without antagonizing other parties such as the EFF that are, well, obviously antagonized by the departure of Mr. Floyd Shivambu at this point in time. Also to cook on the question that Zethu Zianda, dadewethu nobrother lapha uNdlamulo nosisinduduzile Zuma. Bamnqabalala wazi waphula sekuningi ukukhulumekile about what is called they have an ear. Ibona abakhona ukusondela kuwena bahle bathi ufuna ukusethi manje ufuna ukusethi manje bese uyaqhuma wena uya-acta based on that without confirming the veracity of leyo nto abakuhlebela ngayo. Ingabe kuyiqiniso yini lokho? If akulona iqiniso like just put the country at ease about those particular questions. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Faraz Patel from Hilal TV. I just wanted to ask, in terms of a succession plan from a 10 to 15-year project, how much was this merger between Mr. Floyd Shivambu and the MK party? How much of a decision-making process was that? I mean, given that he's in his 40s, if I said to be corrected, Mklamulo's in his 40s, Mr. Duzile's in her 40s, and even though President Jacob Zuma and Dr. John Hlophe have evergreen characters, you know, they are in the 60s, heading into the 70s, 80s, so how much of a decision was that in looking at Mr. Shivambu since he served in senior positions within the ANC Youth League and within the EFF? And second question, from a foreign policy perspective, will the MK party be, you know, having dialogues with very similar leftist organizations across the world, like Venezuela? And of course, the MK party has expressed its solidarity with Palestine. Will they be meeting with Palestinian resistance groups just to have more dialogues in terms of that? Thank you very much.
Okay. There was one that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm Shablo from Urbantainment. I'm an independent media practitioner. My first question is for Tatana Floyd. Now that you're in the MK, and from the statements that was given...
They're asking that to... Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, they're just asking you to stay.
Yes, sorry. Now that you're in the MK, and you've heard the statement from the president that was read out earlier, can you indulge us on your view of the credibility of the IEC and their ability to conduct free and fair elections, since the MK is continuing to challenge the results of these most recent elections? My second question is for Ubaba. You gave EWN their most viewed interview. Do you have any plans to grace platforms of independent media practitioners, podcasters like your Ms. Nzigi Mazwai, etc.? And then Jabulani Kumalo gave an interview to Alec Hoggs, Biz News, a liberal media organization. This is for anybody within the party. Is there a case to make it important for members of the party to make a case for the MK in liberal media? Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I think that was the last one in this round. President, should I ask Mhlamulo to sit somewhere and do so that we demystify this thing of floating there? Because when they see you together, they say you are busy floating there. Leadership should we allow any SGU guide any? You can come to the chair. Hey, looking nice.
Your comments. No, thanks. No, thank you very much, President, ladies and gentlemen. There are two critical questions that have been raised, and I like them. Mr. Nzigi Mazwai raises the question of the underrepresentation of women. Excuse me, I have a little bit of some flu. So don't think that I have a sexy voice. It's just that it's a defect. The fact of the matter is that in MK there is no decision with regards to the underrepresentation of women. And the fact of the matter is that it is essentially at the center of the challenge of the National High Command to resolve that question and attend to it. So that next time, when assistance, you'll like us more. because you do like us, which is interesting. I also like you, right? But so it is one of those organizational challenges, because I think we should all take a cue from one thing and one thing alone. We're establishing ourselves as an organization from a functional point of view. And therefore, amongst other things, is the question of the representation of women is at the center of such a question. I think there was also a gentleman from ENCA. What's his name? Aviwe. Yeah. So he raises the question of what is the tenure for leadership. Again, I would say to you that what is important for us is to establish the organization, stabilize it, advance it. We will then, on the basis of such, from time to time, review our situation as an organization and decide on our state of readiness, so that we could then get to a point which I suspect you seem to be suggesting, and that's the question of having ordinarily a conventional conference that elects whatever and so on. At this stage, we can't do so. And we can't do so precisely because what is important is that we need to put the infrastructure in place and let it be a working infrastructure. But this infrastructure must also be subjected to a scientific process in terms of assessing its state of readiness to move to the next levels. So I think that would be the answer to that. The question of unity of the progressive forces is not the question of a nicety. That no, because we elect to be nice about it and so on, and we feel in a particular way, and therefore we need to do it. It's necessitated by the mood on the ground. The mood of our people is simple. Africans are yearning for freedom and emancipation, but they're also yearning to be human. At the center of why MK was established is to respond to that particular challenge of Africans and black people in general yearning for freedom and emancipation and them being human. So it is something that I think, as hasn't been emphasized before, that we need to pay sufficient attention to and be committed and dedicated to. The only thing that you can ever do and do correctly is to be where our people are at all material times. So let me just, those are the three questions that I needed to deal with. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I think there was a question from Uzianda. I think for me, which was, how do you get access to the president? I've had the pleasure to go and see the president in Kanta since he requested me to assist, because I've been part of the ground forces, the volunteer, the activists on the ground. I was surprised at the number of us, of the people that I saw there, that were waiting to see the president. The truth of the matter is, we are out in Ibhengeze, siyamkhathaza uNqamalane, ngoba uthi mangabe ufika lapho ungaze uthola umbone ngo-12 since aqale around 1 abona abantu. Let me then translate. I think we are putting so much pressure to the president in terms of us being able to access him. Because when you are there at 12 noon or 1, you can see the president at midnight and still fresh for that 12 hours, having been able to see. So there's no one who's turned back in terms of that. Some without appointments are able to see the president. Why I like your question though is that part of what this office has to be responsible for is exactly that, to relieve the president in terms of the challenges that are taken directly to the president. The functionality of this office will be determined by the number of the queue to inyanga or inkosi lapha eNcamalala decreasing, that at least this office is then functioning. So it's not true that the president is not accessible. He's the most accessible president of all for everybody within that. So anyone can then be able to access the president. As Comrade Floyd had already said, he also is the most president that is able to listen and engage with you on any matters for that matter. I think there was a question about in terms of, I think it was around our international relations. The answer is really very clear. We are aligning. I think Comrade Floyd said it also quite well. We are aligning with the progressive forces in Africa and also in the world that are fighting the neoliberal agenda and imperialism. But the policy conference that we had expressed here is going to detail in terms of how our policy will be like within that. I think there was a question that was directed to you, Comrade Floyd, about IEC. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I would like to address the question on the representation of women. I want to refer you to the statement of the media statement by the President, where it was clearly outlined that at the National High Command, you did see the reflection of women, and we are striving to get more women that are to serve in the National High Command. The credibility of those women, Floyd spoke to it, that we possess sound and solid expertise, experience, and our credentials. I'm saying our because I'm part of the National High Command. We are as strong as you would like to see, Ntsiki. We are strong, and our voices shall be strong and be more stronger, because we're representing the women that are silenced, that cannot talk for their own. Then the second aspect is this, that in the statement by the President clearly indicates that from the National High Command to the provincial detachments, those are the structures from the provincial provincial detachment, we are going to have a representation of 2 women from each region, and we are going to have 2 representation representatives from the youth. There was a question that was asking about the representation of the youth. So be assured that in all structures, from the provincial detachment, the regional detachment, up to the VD, women shall be represented. We are striving for the 50% representation of women as MK, and will definitely make the 50% representation. We are striving, and we are going to make those strides. Thank you.
Thank you, leadership. Colleagues, I've got a proposal. I know that others may still want to ask more questions and further clarification. SG, after the media briefing, you will be expected to coordinate the one-on-ones to conclude the questions that might not have been concluded. And maybe to sweeten the deal so that we don't fight for further hands. Against the plan of the officials, we will request the President, Jacob Zuma, to come and address, answer a few questions, and then that will be the end of our media briefing. All other outstanding questions, we will request that to take to the SG. Comrade President, looking very fit and capable. Looking very fit.
Well, thank you very much, Director of the program. And thank you very much to the comrades who have answered all the questions sufficiently, satisfactory to everyone. Well, there were questions that were directed to me. Fortunately, my colleagues have answered those questions. So I'm not going to answer them. But just to also say, so that you don't say this fellow, we last saw him talking, now he can't talk. He's just, the voice has gone, blah, blah, blah. Jacob Zuma, blah, blah, blah. Hey, niyangithanda, ne? Akekho ngafuna ukuzibambela nangincinze lapha mungabe indaba zalutho. But thank you very much for coming to hear us, and I think it is absolutely important that we interact with you. There's one thing you are missing, all of you. Because we are asking questions as if you are talking to the organization that has been here from 1960-something, etc., etc. We have not yet even finished a year. We haven't. But the kind of questions you're asking is as if this party has been there. Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Not a single one of you said, but guys, you have created something that has never happened in the world. Just to be honest, to acknowledge things that have happened. There's not even a single country that had a party with only 6 months that shook all political parties. Absolutely. You don't. You want to find something wrong somewhere. there were questions that were asked, and I can't respond to the one which our judge said, matters in court, you don't talk about them outside of court. Now, if I've been charged, then let us go to court, where I will listen to accusations or whatever. With regard to the man, I'm just forgetting his name, who said that he has raised, he has made charges against me. But it's a very wonderful story that we'll talk one day. How did this man met Zuma? And what Zuma said to him? And where Zuma sent him to do what? For what reasons? It's a very nice story. Partly because Zuma, as one of those who were trained for underground, when he decided to take actions against his organization, he went underground. And this was part of underground work. That Zuma must not say, I've either done this and done this. Zuma must send some very much unknown people to undertake certain things. Those are the rules of underground. I'm just telling you the story that will be told at the right time. Zuma trusted, as he always trusts people, trusted these people and gave some tasks. Like in the long line of our struggle, there were people who were given tasks, but who sold out. And I can tell you stories about it. So I'm just saying to the one who was asking the question, don't worry. You will get the answers at the right time. And I must also say something about this organization, ngoLwesibini. Because I believe that quite a number of you, when this organization will be having few years going up, you will feel that in order to be in ngoLwesibini is almost committing something wrong. Because ngoLwesibini is the final answer of the problems of our country. The final answer. You might, if you are a funny person, try to find reasons why it is not so. But will not find, because it is absolutely correct for us as oppressed people to stand up and liberate ourselves. If we don't do so, we'll be a funny kind of a nation that praises oppression, either indirectly or directly. I can't understand, and I will never understand, that a South African who was here before the arrival of people from Europe, the country was taken, many people were killed in the wars. Finally, the population was driven to the corners, and the whole world of this country was taken, and everybody has everything. Those who came, there's not a single one who has nothing, except the indigenous people. Now, if we are an indigenous people, you want to criticize people who are saying, let us bring our country back. Sure, there's something grossly wrong with us. That's why I believe that with time, we will be together. we'll be together. If I was a journalist, I would be asking very wonderful questions. How did you come to this idea to help us because we are in trouble? Absolutely. I would ask that question. Just let us know. Just take us with you so that we can quickly correct the wrongs. I wouldn't be saying, Mr. Zuma, why did you do this? Ask a question which seems to be opposite of what we need to do. And I'm telling the truth. One day when you are old like me, I'm still young though, you will say, that young man was right. What had happened to us? Why did we ask questions which were wanting to, reduce the correct thing that some of our people were doing? Let me not say much because I know you love listening to me. Because I did not want to speak, but somebody said, man, talk please. Just make them happy. Just say something. No, one of the points that I wanted to make is that the interpretation of the comrade who's sitting here, that I'm standing next to. This one. You don't know. There are politicians and politicians. This comrade I've known from when he was very young in the ANC Youth League. That's when I picked him up that he is a real politician. He has politics which I defy as scientific politics. This young man. He's a young man to me. Don't worry that he's big than me and all. Honest politician. Honest. Clear political. He takes decisions at the right time for good reasons. And I'm happy that today he told what you all did not know. That when I started, after taking a decision to fight the African National Congress underground, and I had an opportunity to say we needed to come to correct politics about our country and our operations or whatever. I took a decision to meet all political parties, black political parties, to talk to them about the destiny of a black person in South Africa. Because whatever we're doing, having our parties, different parties, etc., we're all missing the point that we are oppressed, all of us as blacks. No matter how much we did not understand, we're trying to fight among ourselves, we're missing the point. Because the white population took a decision to take us out of everything in South Africa. We, all of us, not a single one, no matter how you could love them. It is a fact. The British lead the debate with the Afrikaners that black people must never allowed to have rights in this country. They must have no right to vote or to be voted for. They persuaded the Afrikaners after the Anglo-Boer War, and finally they agreed We must never have these at our level. Now you might deny it if you want to. Angineka amanzi lapha ngidala manje. Ufuna ngihlale ngiphuza amanzi kancane. Ngenzela ukuthi ngikhulumise kwenja nami ngikwitize. Whether we like it or not, it is a fact. It is a fact. You must know. There was a conspiracy against black people not to participate in their country, in running of the country, in being voted for or to vote. It is a fact. It was a discussion or a meeting of, which was at, what is this place near Johannesburg? Vereeniging. They were having a discussion to bring peace and harmony in this country after the Anglo-Boer War. The decision was taken. Many of you don't know. That's when we made not to vote, not to participate in the running of the country, and everything. It's a serious matter. It's not a small matter. It's an old matter, but it's a very new matter. It affects us now. It affected us then. It still affects us now. That's the reason why when we said we are coming to peace in our country, many things have been put in laws, in practice, in behavior, in finances, in the economy. You will never come out. It's a serious matter. It is a serious matter. Because some of us are sitting here working for organizations that give news, and we are being diverted to discuss all other things. If there is a person like my brother here, there is no happiness to say, thanks God, the good people are coming together. Funan, what do you want? Kulava, what do you want? You make the news about us being ourselves. We make news about ourselves sent by big fellows with money behind to say, we'll pay you, go and deal with them. That's what it is, if I tell the truth. There's been no wonderful question here that says, man, how did you come to this good idea that the black people must come together and be united like others? Instead of asking that question, why have you joined this one or not that one? Is it not true? It is. Fumani. Tanin Shivambu. Okay, let me leave this hard stuff. Just to tell you, somebody asked a question about Zuma being chased away from the ANC, blah, 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 blah. You said, we are not going to leave the ANC. You will die in the ANC. But we are forming another organization. Only my brother here understood that very well. Only. The reason why I said I will never leave the ANC is because I love history. I know history. The ANC was established by our ancestors. The traditional leaders, our pastors who were black, our intellectuals. to defend the black person who was being suppressed by the whites. And they knew what they were doing. And it was the organization of all of us. They were uniting us because prior to that, the unity was not at that level. It was all these traditional leaders were in their areas, so to speak. But they realized that the black person is being taken out of his own country whilst living in his own country. And it was important for us to do so. And if we have to die for it, we must. And many have died for it, fighting for our liberation. I know that that situation is always made to be a very polite thing. Sangat is not a small thing. Many people died, many people stayed in prison, many were killed for fighting for their rights, tortured to death. Others were thrown to the sea, you never know, never find them again. Can only be a funny nation that says, okay, kwenzeka, kwenzeka. You don't say, let us stand and liberate ourselves. Precisely because that organization was established by those people. Some of us will respect that organization which was established by our ancestors. Because it was correct, it was true, it was defending the nation. Now, if then the leaders of that organization at a given time turn away from what was given to all of us, they are actually undermining our ancestors who were correct and undermining the organization itself, which is our tool to liberate ourselves. And some of us were said, I'm leaving the ANC because it has gone out of the way. It's no longer the ANC we know. This is the Ramaphosa ANC. And we said it. And we'll continue saying it. They've deviated. They've moved out of the way. But this organization had made the struggle in South Africa to be known throughout the world. There are many things that they did. They sacrificed, they died. They followed from the organizations that were called or whatever in the past. Let me not mention them. As me, with a very sore heart, saying I'm not going to vote for the ANC, I want you to understand this. Why I said, much as I will vote for Umkhonto weSizwe, but I will never leave the ANC as a member. I will die the ANC. I was respecting our ancestors who established the ANC. You cannot take the history of struggle, the history of struggle of the ANC, run away from it when we have sacrificed it. Some of us served years in prison, went to exile. It was not a nice thing. It was not playing soccer. It was a struggle. And if people were changing this organization, giving it to the whites, the oppressors, they are taking even the history to back to the oppressors. And I was saying I would fight for that. Even if I'm in the MK, I will fight to get the history of the ANC here to us who fought for this liberation. So I don't want people to misunderstand, because I did not say all of this. I was just making the point historically that I belong to this organization. but when it was still the organization that was established by our ancestors. This one, which now looks funny, led by somebody else, I'm not going to leave that one. This one I'm leaving, I'm not going to vote for. Clear, 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 clear. I don't want one day, why Tino Zuma? One day, when I'm an old man, because now I'm very young. I'm very young now. I will tell people, I will tell the citizens of this country that you sold out by creating other organizations helping the enemy to disperse us so that we don't have a concrete majority. Because that's what is done with these little parties that we've been establishing, all of us. We must come to a point where we realize the reality. And I'm telling you, this comrade will come to the books of history. He had done something that many would not do, because his politics is scientific. And that's why even his action has become a big issue, because it is a scientific issue, proper scientific, to say we are closer to our liberation. Let us join together to reach there so that we can have this country in peace with everybody, including the whites, everybody who's here. Because for now, this country, there is no peace, because black people are like, I don't know how you could describe them. We've got cities. In the city, there is what is called, what is this last forum? Township. Why there is a city and a township? Why? Have you asked that question? Why there's no city only? There's a city and a township. Should we say fine to stay in the township, where at times the toilets are not correct, every other thing? Until when? Coming with umkhonto wesizwe, we are coming with a solution for this country forever, so that there will be peace, there will be harmony, there will be everything. If you don't want it, fine. We'll help you. We'll take you once we make it. That's why the issue of the black political parties must come together to be one. Because the whites are not there together. They've been consolidating in what is called, what is this party, Abu? Huh? DA. DA. If you count it, there are very few. There are few. There is a serious period coming, which we want to deal with peacefully, fortunately. That's why when we're moving up and down, we're saying we want to have 2/3 majority. Because we want this to come peacefully, no longer through the barrel of the gun. Peacefully. We must come to our senses, realize that we cannot live like this. A city, and what? Township, a rural area, urban. Why? Where in the rural areas where we stay is not a single hospital. All hospital in the cities. I don't want to be emotional. I was just telling you that what we are all about is about us bringing this country where it is supposed to be for all its citizens, black and white. We are hating no. And one day I will invite you to Ngandla, the journalists, so that I will try to help you in your job, to quicken this thing we are talking about. Agreed? Wonderful. Sobamem panagit. Sobamem one day for Sunday. But we like to thank you for being with us today and the questions we have asked. And as you realized, we are serious, as we have been serious historically, to correct the wrongs. We believe there's a lot of wrongs. We can't sit and be happy when our children are finished by liquor and everything and think that is correct. And to sit in the country as if everything is fine. It can't be. The youth is the citizens of tomorrow. And it is our duty, to ensure that we have the future of our young people who will be in charge of this country and making life wonderful. We can't. If we sit, no. I mean, people are killed every other day. We've got police, we've got everything, but people are continuing to be killed. They are employed every other year. We have now become so soft to wrong things. We must stop that. That's what we must do. And we are going to stop it. We are going to stop it. All we need is to be in charge of this country. You will see. What we tell you will happen. You will walk in the dark without fearing anybody. Because criminals are going to be put away. Uyobukwazi umkhonto. You must not take us as if we are jokes, we are just stand up one party J. No. We are correcting the situation of our country. Fortunately, we know why our country was singled out to be colonizer, to be colonized. Colonized. Yeah. Now we can't look aside as if we don't know what happened. And we as citizens who don't want to correct that. We think we must live like this all the time. I think it's our time. Everyone who visited us must feel at home. We will never chase anyone away. But we say there must be equality. If you went to those who have money, the banks, and they asked to establish a business, after questioning you a lot, they will tell you, sorry, we can't help you. That's what happens. So that you remain a semi-slave. But if I was white and went there and said, I want to do a business, after questioning, they said, we have got the money you want. In other words, there is lack of equality, treating one another. And I think enough is enough. Enough is enough. The time has come. I want you to look at MK as a solution to the problems of this country. And it is. Took from the old ANC, the same, not the current one. Leo, no. Sorry. Angaze ngibabone mina abantu abanenhliziyo ezibuhlungu kanje. Not care about their own skin. abanje ngathi nje sebejahwe bajahwe emhlabeni la. Jahwe nabanye labakwazi ukubhala ababhalayo. Zuma. Okay. I'd like to thank the comrades who are here and the ones who have been identified to lead this organization. And indeed, we want to bring changes. We want to have an MK that is disciplined, that respects people, that is standing for the interests of the people. That's what we want to do. We don't want to see any one of us doing something wrong. Part of the reason we have said we don't need conferences for now as we are establishing our party, because conferences have become fake. People use money, they buy people to vote for them and do everything. No, we are saying that is not going to happen to Mkondo Wesizwe. No. That is why we are saying we are not interested in the conference, nice things there, spending a lot of money before we consolidate as a party to be a party that every citizen in this country respect. And I must answer this question because some people were asking that we've been taking people out. I think we have heard the SGs, but before we finish a year, it's a fifth one. Because we said nobody does something wrong, we're going to tolerate. Right. We must know it, and we are still going to do it if there are people who do wrong things here, because we are here to liberate our country. It's critical. Ninake bese nibhala niyajabula ke. Nango ke futhi sekuxosha umuntu. Abone ke. You are not even asking kwenze njani. We mean serious business when we say we want to liberate the black man who has been oppressed for centuries. This is our time. I'm just telling you ngoba ngintwele nishibhile. Ngiphelele la. Ngaze ngabathola madaka baba. Yebo, ngoba ngeke nginiyeke mina ukuthi sikhulume. Ngoba strategy angishone eceleni. Yebo. Ngisho intombi nje kulezela mayinhle mangiyeshela ngaze ngifike kuyo ngithi wethu uyangibona kodwa. Uyangibona. Ngiyabonga bakwethu. Thank you very much. Saluthatha into yakho ngibonga kakhulu ukuthi sibe safika la ngobuningi bethu ngoba ngifisa kuleli ivangeli nilishumayeze ukuthi umuntu omnyama khululeka isikhathi sifikile.